So welcome to this first edition of Terry's Top Fives. This is a show where the guest, every week we get a special guest and they will come along and they will pick a topic and then we will give our top fives around that topic. And today's special guest is none other than Becky Seaton. How are we doing, Becky?
Hello, Terry. I'm good. How are you?
All the better for seeing your smiley face, obviously. And you are I always pronounce this wrong, empathetic driving instructor?
That is literally the first time you've said it correctly. Well done.
I have been practicing for this occasion specifically. Welcome. How excited are you on a scale of 1 to 14 for being the first guest on Terry's Top 5?
I mean, I would go for 15 if I could. Let's go 14.
You can go 15. It's fine. We'll make a special dispensation. But as we said, this is a show where you're going to come along and you've chosen a topic, which will come to in a second, and we're both going to give our top 5. And I've been kind of plugging this and dropping hints in the premium group for a while because I'm quite excited about this. Now, it could be shit, but we'll find out in a minute. So let's have a look. But what is the topic that you have chosen for us today?
Okay, so I have gone with, feel like we need a drum roll. I've gone with the top 5 ways to bounce back from a Part 3 or standards check failure.
It was interesting when I asked you for a topic, you kind of came back with that and almost half-heartedly said it to me.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yes. And I'm like, no, that's brilliant. I love that, because how often do we see people talk about how not to fail, how to pass, which is obviously the ideal way. You don't want to fail. Ideally, you'd pass first time and everyone's hunky-dory and rosy sunshines. But we do fail sometimes. We all make mistakes. So I was really quite excited when you said about, let's do this, how to bounce back from a Part 3 or a standards check fail, because it felt a little bit different. And you know, we've all been there. I've failed a Part 3 and I've failed a driving test. I probably fail about 74 times a day at some or other. And so why? That's my question. Why? What made you come with that of how to bounce back?
Well, I think it's no secret now that the reason I am here is because I had such an awful journey qualifying. I had loads of fails, like loads. And I think I've learned from them. I think I've learned how not to get it wrong now, hopefully. But it also taught me how to be resilient, how to recognize my own strength in bouncing back after something. And now looking back, I don't know if I would change my journey. I don't think I would want it to be, I've passed everyone first time. And that's great for people that do. But I think for me personally, I think that made me who I am. And you know, I love the fact that I've learned some life skills of how to bounce back after failure, because just like you said, we do all experience failure in some ways, whether it's forgetting to get the milk from the shops when you go to the shops for milk and you get everything else but milk. That's failure. Whether it's a big one that driving instructors do is we say we'll get petrol in the morning. That's the worst mistake, isn't it? You know, when we're on the way home and we go, we'll do it in the morning. Whatever it is, you know, I think it's something that isn't talked about a lot and does need to be, because it's common for people to, I think the statistics are that people that pass the Part 3 are more likely to pass it on their second go. So they've failed one. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you can get over that.
I failed today because I forgot I was vegan and I bought Chinese style belly pork from Morrison's. Like literally, went to the butcher counter, and I haven't been to a butcher counter for about 4 years, but the butcher bit, and like, oh, can I have like 4 of them, please? And dished them up for me and bought them, driving home. Balls. I'll eat meat. Why have I bought that? And I had to call somewhere. I dropped one of my friends now has Chinese style belly pork for tea.
That's brilliant. I remember once being in a restaurant and I ordered olives as a starter, and they came and I went, oh, sorry, I didn't order this. And she said, you did? And I went, yeah, but I don't like olives. And like, I had no idea why I'd ordered them. We do crazy things.
We did recently speak about failure quite a bit with Tom Stenson on the show that he does for me, Tomorrow's Lesson. And it may or may not be in one of my top fives as we get through this. It may not be one of yours. We'll find out. So what we're going to do is you're going to give one of yours first. And then if I've got the same, I'll say so. Or if I've got different one, I'll give mine after. We'll maybe talk about them a little bit as we go as well. So what are you going to go with first as one of your ways to bounce back from a standards check or part 3 fail?
Okay, so the first one that I'm going to go with is own it. Own the failure, which might sound controversial because sometimes when we think about people failing, we might want to mollycoddle them and hug them and go, oh, it's okay, you'll do it next time. And yes, sometimes that might be good, but actually we need to take responsibility for our actions. If a learner fails their driving test and they blame everyone else, it was the examiner's fault, it was the lorry that pulled out, we have to help them take responsibility and reflect. And I think it's important to be able to do that yourself. If you fail, and I hear a lot from people saying, I failed, I was close, I was only 1 mark off, or I was only 2 marks off, or I'll do it next time. But it wasn't their fault, that their learner went to pieces or the examiner gave them harsh feedback. Actually, you just need to own it. Something wasn't quite right on the day, and you need to take responsibility for your actions to be able to then look at other ways of bouncing back from failure. So my first skill would be own it, take responsibility.
I think that's a good one. I like it because I do think it's important with any failure, whether it's a standards check, part 3, driving test, buying Chinese style belly pork, whatever you failed at, you've contributed towards that somehow. And I think that you've kind of touched it there. You're blaming the examiner or blaming something else. Now, someone else might contribute towards it. And, there's always the extreme example of an examiner that did get it wrong. Someone can always throw up one example like that. So taking out the one extreme example that occurs 1 in 1,000 times or 1 in however many times, all those other times, we just have to take responsibility. And I think that when I look back, I have spoken about this before, but I'll say it again because I think it's a good example. When I look back at my driving test, back when I was about 19, I think I was 19 when I took it, I wasn't ready. My examiner put me in for it. I was nowhere near ready. And my instructor put me in for it and I was nowhere near ready. And it's like, I still am annoyed in a way that you put me in for it. But at the time, I could have done something different. There's loads of stuff I could have done. I could have checked with him. I could have said, is there anything else you need to teach me? Because it was all, he'd tell me what to do at the time, anything else you could do? I could have asked my dad, what should I be learning there, Dad? This sort of thing. I didn't. I just completely went off what he'd said and it went abysmal. So as much as I blamed him because he should have done better, I also took stock and went, right, what changes can I make now? I own this. What could I do differently next time? So I think that's a big one. Do you find a lot of instructors are reluctant to own the fact that their standards check has been failed, and whether that's saying like the examiner was harsh or this thing happened, or just saying the standards check's not fair generally?
I think that it's a small minority of people that would initially own it. I think to start with, the majority would look elsewhere, blame others. I guess it's a little bit like the stages of grief. You have denial, don't you? And when you are going for a part 3 or a standards check, that's something that you want. And if you lose that, you grieve over that thought of what you were going to achieve. So by not owning it, it's that denial, isn't it? It's that denial of, well, it's not me, it's not my fault, it was this, that, and the other. So perhaps it's a little bit human to do that. Perhaps it's a little bit normal to look elsewhere. But there's nothing wrong with preparing yourself in advance for failure so that you know that if it doesn't go right, you don't waste time by being in the denial stage. You can say, okay, it's not gone right today. What did I do to contribute it not going right? How can I change it next time?